Got the feeling for tonight. Whoa. And I know you gon' hear me tonight. Waiting for tonight. Oh my god. Alright, whatever. That's horrible. Trade recap. I got brutally touched today, and I think this internal SMT might come out for my original draws. And if it does, hey man, it's the way of the game. So today I kind of realized I made a mistake on one thing, and we're gonna talk about it right now. I accidentally, super not intentionally, did not account for London session lows. And with that in mind, I may have messed up. Not really messed up. Like, it definitely could have changed a way. Like, it definitely could have changed an entry, just like the way it could have been, like, way earlier. Probably would have got stopped out at break even. Because, like I said, none of my main draws have literally been hit. So, coming into today, we look at the 4 hour. We're doing nothing but really just consolidating. But we are above, like, we're above bullish structure. Like, we broke above this high. We broke above this swing high. So, like, believe it or not, we are in bullish structure. Just heavy retraces, but we're still going upwards. On the hourly, though, this is where things got a little bit confusing. Not a little bit confusing. This is where things really just got, where I sort of messed up on. Without even accounting for London session lows. I'm not sure why. I was originally thinking, okay, we're going to probably want previous day lows. Why did I think we're going to want previous day lows? Well, if we look above here, we broke below the swing low. So we already broke structure welcoming bearish order flow. We made this gap, and then we were holding up into this gap. However, I did not account to realize that we swept this gap. Like, we swept this low, which is the reason why we ended up rallying up higher. Well, one of the reasons why we rallied up higher. And with that in mind, I'm like, okay, whoa, let's hold on real quick. Whatchamacallit? And now realizing this in hindsight, I definitely realized it definitely could have changed like a trade, at least one trade. Because the second trade I took was really retarded. We're gonna talk about it because I shouldn't even have taken it. As soon as I saw the SMT get formed, I should have just canceled my limit order. But lesson learned. But let's talk about it. So coming in today, I wanted previous day equilibrium. As you can see, that obviously did not get hit. Coming into the 15-minute, this is where everything really started to kick off. We ended up having this 15-minute gap. I ended up accounting for this gap and this gap as well. The first 15 minutes, if we come in today, we had news at 10. Excuse me. We had jolts and consumer confidence. These were really like really important for me to just hold off on, because if we look at the 1 hour, we were still in this gap, however, and then as well, we were also in this other gap as well, and this gap was honestly going to be the key influencer whether to tell me if we were going to want to go down the previous day lows or not, because if we had inversed this gap and we already continued with this gap and we already broke structure and we inversed this gap, it's pretty safe to assume we're going to want to come down for previous day lows with that, with this drawn liquidity. So with this in mind, I was like, okay, I'm going to keep in the back of my mind we have news at 10. I'm also gonna keep in the back of my mind we have this gap. I had it highlighted, but my charts were getting not too messy. It was just like getting like, I just don't want to see so many boxes, so many highlighted boxes. So in the back of my mind, I was like, okay, we have this gap. We have news at 10. This gap and this news could honestly, debatably, be the make or break of my bias, essentially, right? And with that in mind, I was like, okay, let's go down to the 15-minute. Let's see what we got. We had a 15-minute imbalance. Excuse me. Wow, I think we just needed a 15-minute retrace for price to continue up higher to my draws and liquidity. And if that is true, I'm not gonna be a happy camper. But I thought we were about to create an SMT. My bad. I'm just looking to see if we're gonna hit this draw and liquidity by the time this video is over. Anyways, on the 15-minute, we had this gap. In the back of my mind, not in the back of my mind, I was actively thinking. I was like, okay, if we continue into this gap and we continue on lower, we're gonna want to come down and literally just continue on bearish structure, and then continue for this gap. Not gap, continue for this external draw, which was previous day lows. That was in the back of my mind. But however, we came into market open, and we, after 9:45, we closed above the conjugate encroachment, which is practically over the 50% line, as you can see. We closed above the 50% line. So with that also in mind, I was like, okay, we're probably going to inverse it, right? Just because the way we closed off was so strong, and then also we were a bit consolidating, and however, now accounting for London session lows being swept, we swept and then we just rallied on higher. Again, we didn't take out any of my substantial draws in liquidity. It's really just been this horrible movement, but we'll talk about it. Anyways, onto the 15-minute. In the back of my mind, I was like, okay, this is probably not gonna hold. We also had this 15-minute order block right here, right there. All this considered of the 15-minute order block. So I was like, okay, maybe the order block will hold, and then from there we'll continue on lower. That did not happen. In fact, we ended up creating a breaker block, and as you can see, this 15-minute breaker block is holding pretty damn good, pretty damn good. And with that in mind, I was like, okay, you know what? Let's go down to the 5-minute. Let's see what's going on. Let's wait for news because price was honestly pretty slow until news came out. And when news came out, that's when we really started getting like all this price action and stuff like that. Excuse me. So with this in mind, we're gonna talk about my first trade and my second trade. So data highs and data lows came out. We originally swept data highs. From right here, we swept data highs, which is relatively equal highs, and then we came up, swept out this internal buy side. From there, I wanted to say, okay, if we can get a confluence, suggesting that we want to come to data lows, like we had this imbalance right here. If we had inversed this gap and just continued on lower with like heavy displacement, I would have entered it, just targeted data lows, and it would have been done for the day. But instead we did not do that. In the back of my mind, I was also like, okay, if we close above 100%, and if we just keep respecting the 79, because this is practically OTE, like an OTE for what should we call it? Ooh, excuse me, for bearish or bullish. So I was like, okay, if we disrespect the 79%, we're honestly gonna want to go to OTE. I mean, not OTE. If we disrespect the OTE, we're definitely gonna want to continue going higher. So I was like, okay, that's probably what we're gonna want to do. Instead, not instead, but that's exactly what we ended up doing. So with that in mind, I was like, okay, looks like we're gonna have to put out data lows. We're gonna have to literally just keep out data lows for right now. I would obviously still consider it if we never hit these draws in liquidity, but I was just like, okay, in the back of my mind, we have that, but what should we call it? But let's see what price is telling us, and let's see where we want to go. I was like, okay, bet. This is at 10 o'clock. I scaled back into the 5-minute, and I realized that we were in this 5-minute gap. We were holding on pretty well into this gap. I was like, okay, we're holding on pretty well into this gap. Let's go down to the 3-minute. What do we have on the 3-minute? Pretty balanced price action. Like, yeah, we had consolidation right here. We had this weird range right here. But what did we have for the most part? We had this imbalance as well. So I was like, okay, you know what? But I should have realized this insane wick, like literally onto this other imbalance. But that's not really that important, at least to me. So in my mind, I was like, okay, pretty balanced on the 5-minute. I see no reason to not even want to go on the 1-minute. So I was like, okay, let's go down to the 1-minute. Let's see what we got. Waiting for any entry, literally waiting for any entry. We created a gap. We literally created this whole gap right here. So I was like, okay, you know what? My entry is gonna be right here, and that is exactly what we did. We had an entry. Well, my entry was right. My entry was right here on a limit order. Literally because okay, if we were continuing up higher, price would want to have a retrace and then continue to literally continue going higher. I ended up getting tagged in. We ended up closing below the contract encroachment, which is like 50% line. We ended up closing below that. We were just wicking heavily. I wasn't this close to freaking stop loss, by the way. It was probably like right here and then right here. Somewhere around this area, something like this. What do we call it? We ended up coming in. We ended up closing below contract encroachment. So I was like, dang, this is probably not gonna hold. But we'll honestly see. YM took the high. Dow Jones, believe it or not, is connected to freaking what we call it. Is connected to all of these other influences. It's like the weird cousin. But I realized that we took the high, and I was like, damn, that's probably why we're selling off. And believe it or not, that's literally why we sold off because we took the high pretty early on. Yeah, we took the high literally right when I was waiting for an entry, and that was pretty unfortunate. Um, and then yeah, I entered. I was literally up, like what? I was literally up like 49 ticks in profit for a while. Oh, 49 ticks in profit for a while. And then from there, we ended up just getting stopped out. And then from there, we also had this 3-minute imbalance that we were also in, coincidentally. And then with that, we ended up inversing this gap. So I was like, okay, wait, let's reignite this, right? Because I'm like, okay, if we are all of a sudden hitting this reversal because YM took the high, next thing in my mind, next draw on liquidity is immediately going to be data lows. So that's how I lost there, right? That's how I lost. Next thing on my mind, I'm like, okay, how are we gonna want to get to data lows, right? So on ES, I'm looking. I'm like, okay, what do we have here? That could literally be anything. Like, right? What do we have here that could genuinely be anything to use for a 5-minute PD ray or like a 3-minute PD ray or anything? The same time we inverse this gap, ES also inverses it. So I'm like, okay, you know what? That's pretty much all I need because we're breaking structure on this higher time frame. But however, on the 5-minute on ES, 5-minute on Nasdaq, we ended up having this gap right here. We ended up having this gap that Nasdaq, that ES never made. So with this in mind, with this gap in mind, I'm like, okay, you know what? We're gonna wait just in case they want to pull something slick on us and they just want to hit a quick retrace and then a reversal back to like my original draws and liquidity. Right? Not original, like my second scenario. So I was just waiting for this gap to get inversed. If we had inversed this gap, then that's pretty much symbolizing to me like, okay, one of these indexes are going to want to take the low. We're just going to have to see and figure out which one wants to take the low first. So I could probably get in that. Not probably, so I can get in that. Because in my mind, I'm like, you know what? I'm going in aggressively because I know if we're coming down and we're breaking structure, we're going to want to go for a substantial draw on liquidity. What's a substantial draw on liquidity? Data lows. Why? We took out data highs. It was only a matter of time before we took out data lows. And this is, with these news, it's pretty important. So in my mind, I'm like, all right, bet. Inverse this. 3-minute. Inversed. So I'm like, okay, we're still showing bearish order flow. We ended up breaking below this whole bearish side, bullish side. So I'm like, okay, bet. Let's go down to the 1-minute on each time frame and let's see what we got going on. Excuse me. So I'm like, bet. Let's see what we got going on. And trust and believe, we had nothing going on. Like literally, there was no entry at all whatsoever. I mean, like, yeah, there's genuinely no entry at all. Again, I wanted to trade my model, but one of my other models that I saw, which was an order block retracement, 1-minute order block retracement. You could call it like CSD, whatever. But this is like another like entry model that I have because we get like after we get a clean displacement, like how we did right here. I usually wait for a retrace and then we usually deliver. Pretty unfortunate to say that we did not do that. Like, I mean, like pretty like here, like for example, right here, right? I'm not looking on the 1-minute here, but for example, we're in this gap, right? We're in this gap, and then what else did we do? We ended up creating this order block. What did we have? We had clean displacement, right? Clean displacement. What else did we have? Retrace back into the gap as well, and then boom, literally entry anywhere between that stops above this gap, and then literally to like data lows. Like this is just like hypothetical, right? Literally hypothetical, and then you could literally just like trail your stops and trail your stops and trail your stops. That is my model right here, and as you can see, it was like literally perfect. Like this is all perfect, but this is at 10:13, and we inverse this gap at 10:18. So like, there's no way I would be looking at that respectfully. Anyways, with that in mind, looking for my model entry, I was like, damn. We ended up having my model play out. My entry model. We ended up having, what did we have? We ended up creating a 1-minute order block. And what else did we have? We also had clean displacement. What else do we had? We ended up having a retrace. And this is where I actually messed up on because ES took data lows. So I was like, damn. And I was like, wait, are we going to create an SMT? I'm not going to lie. I was a bit greedy. I will admit I was a bit greedy because this was my fault. I should have saw that we created the SMT. I should have saw that we created this SMT. I literally should have saw that we created this SMT, and I should have been like, bro, let me exit on my limit order because this is not going to end well at all. What did I do? I just stood it there because I was like, you know what? I was like, I have so much confidence that this SMT is probably not going to hold. But I'm retarded because this internal SMT is definitely going to hold because we don't have any corresponding SMTs to literally like back this up, right? Not back this up, like be able to like disprove that SMT. So I was like, damn. I'm not gonna lie, definitely, yeah, greed definitely got the best of me because I was like, yeah, no, this is my model. What do we have? Order block. What do we have? Clean displacement or CS, whatever you want to call this. Literally, what? Clean displacement. Took out equal lows. What do we wait for? We wait for a retracement, and then what do we get from there? We come down and come lower. Buddy, I got stopped out literally next candle. But this time, I was not gonna lie, I trailed my stops so like I genuinely was like, I was like, you know what? I'm like, I had the idea that we were gonna have the system T and it was gonna literally screw me over, which is the reason why I literally freaking what's we call it 514 right here. Which is the reason why I literally have my stop losses so freaking tight. Usually be above like right here, and I'd probably enter like above like this order block right here, so it'd be like above here for a better entry. But I entered here, and then I was like, you know what? I want my stop to be right here, because I was gonna trail this tight, bro, real tight. Because I was like, yeah, if we can get this will be pretty calm. If we can get this will literally be pretty calm. And yeah, nah, like we pinged it, we were in profit, and then that SMT literally just ripped straight up. So I was like, damn. And here we go. Literally, this SMT might honestly be the one that take out these highs. So if this SMT definitely takes out the highs, that's pretty unfortunate that my original one didn't want to take out the highs, because if anything, now we're looking at this, it looks like the 15-minute just wanted to retrace before, and I got caught in that retrace. So that's really unfortunate. It looks like the 15-minute just wanted to retrace before we continued to deliver. But I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. 2 losses for today. Pretty sad. Uh, but yeah, if you guys made it this far, comment your favorite color. Comment your favorite color. My favorite color is blue, so if you guys want to just comment blue, just to make sure that you guys watched the end of the video, you could. But yeah, I mean, other than that, that's pretty unfortunate how I took 2 losses. But second loss was my fault. First loss, I don't really see how that was my fault. Like, genuinely, everything was like chill to the facts. It is just like, damn. And now look, here we are. Heavy displacement, man. Heavy displacement. Heavy displacement. But I mean, yeah, other than that, I hope you guys enjoy the video. This might be like a 1-minute order block, and then from there, I mean, you can honestly count all this as an order block, but this will really be like the best one. And then boom, entry, and then literally like somewhere here, and then like stops like below here, and you just like keep targeting. Obviously, you keep trailing because like this looks horrible, and we're probably gonna hit the draw on liquidity, bro. That's pretty unfortunate, but yeah, guys. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys in tomorrow's recap. I'm not really that phased by it, but yeah, love you guys. Peace.